They were so sure of themselves, so certain that no matter what they did, no matter how much time passed, you would remain emotionally tied to them, waiting, wondering, holding on to memories while they lived freely. In their mind, you were predictable. You wouldn't move on. You wouldn't rise. You wouldn't become stronger without them. But the energy has shifted, and now the silence you carry is louder than any words you could speak. Something about you has changed, and they can feel it, even from a distance. Welcome back to Sophia, where energy doesn't lie and truth always finds its way to the surface. Today's message is charged with emotion, regret, and an awakening that came far too late. This reading isn't about revenge or proving anything. It's about the moment someone realizes they underestimated your strength. The moment they see you standing taller, glowing differently, no longer available to the version of them that once took you for granted. As I connected with this energy, 3 cards rose immediately to tell this story. The Tower, the 5 of Cups, and the 6 of Wands. These cards reveal a powerful emotional timeline, the collapse of false assumptions, the weight of loss settling in, and your quiet yet undeniable victory. There's a shock here, a deep internal reckoning where they replay past choices and recognize the cost of their actions. What makes this energy so intense is that your growth wasn't loud. You didn't announce your healing. You didn't seek validation. You simply chose yourself. And that choice sent ripples through their world. Now they're watching from the sidelines, realizing the door they closed may never open again. Stay present with this message, because what unfolds next explains why their regret surfaced now, what triggered this emotional awakening, and how your evolution became the very thing they never thought possible. When the Tower, the 5 of Cups, and the 6 of Wands come together in a reading like this, they tell a complete emotional story, one that begins with shock, moves through regret, and ends with your undeniable rise. This combination doesn't speak softly. It reveals a powerful shift in energy where roles reverse, truths surface, and the person who once felt secure in their assumptions is left emotionally exposed. What they thought would never happen. The Tower opens the story with a sudden collapse of illusion. This is the moment they realize they were wrong about you. Wrong about your limits, wrong about your attachment, wrong about how long you would hold space for them. They built a false sense of control, believing you would always be emotionally available, always connected to the past. When you quietly chose healing, distance, and self-respect, it struck them like lightning. The Tower shows that this realization didn't come gently. It arrived unexpectedly, ripping away the comfort of denial. Everything they assumed about your place in their life fell apart at once. As the dust settles, the 5 of Cups reveals what comes next. Regret, not dramatic regret, not performative guilt, but deep emotional mourning. This is where they finally feel the loss. They look back and see all the moments they dismissed, all the chances they didn't take seriously. The 5 of Cups shows them standing in the emotional aftermath, focused on what's gone rather than what remains. They replay conversations, remember your patience, your consistency, your emotional depth, and now they understand its value because it's no longer accessible. This regret is intensified by awareness. They know they contributed to this ending. They know you didn't leave impulsively. You left after trying, after hoping, after waiting. The 5 of Cups shows emotional heaviness mixed with shame, the kind that keeps someone silent, watching from a distance, afraid to interrupt your peace. They may want to reach out, but the fear of rejection and the weight of their own choices hold them back. Then the energy shifts completely with the 6 of Wands. This card changes the focus from their regret to your victory. While they are looking backward, you are moving forward, confident, grounded, and emotionally stronger than before. The 6 of Wands confirms that your growth is visible. Others see it, they feel it, and most importantly, they see it too. This card shows you standing tall after a long inner battle, finally free from the emotional cycle that once kept you stuck. The 6 of Wands reveals that what hurts them most is not just losing you, it's seeing you thrive without them. You didn't crumble, you didn't beg, you didn't stay small, you healed, and that healing elevated you. Your energy now carries self-respect, clarity, and quiet confidence. That shift makes it impossible for them to see you the same way again. You are no longer someone they could return to when convenient. You are someone who has outgrown the past. Together, these 3 cards show a karmic balance. The Tower brings awareness. The 5 of Cups brings emotional consequence. The 6 of Wands brings resolution. not through reconciliation, but through self-empowerment. This isn't about punishment, it's about truth. They were allowed to make their choices freely, and now they are facing the emotional result of those choices while you reap the reward of choosing yourself. This combination also highlights timing. When you were ready to fight for the connection, they were complacent. When they finally wake up, you are already aligned with a higher version of yourself. That's the quiet tragedy revealed here, clarity that arrives too late. The Five of Cups mourns that timing, while the Six of Wands confirms you no longer need it to make sense of your journey. Emotionally, this spread validates your growth. It shows that your healing wasn't invisible, wasted, or unnoticed. Even those who underestimated you are now forced to acknowledge your strength. You didn't need closure conversations. You didn't need validation. Your transformation became the message. In the end, this combination tells a powerful truth. They thought you wouldn't move on, but you did. And in doing so, you stepped into a version of yourself that no longer waits to be chosen. The Tower shook them awake. The Five of Cups taught them loss. And the Six of Wands crowned you with victory. While they sit with regret, you move forward with peace, confidence, and a future no longer tied to the past. The Tower appears when illusions can no longer be maintained, and in this situation, it speaks directly to the false story they told themselves about you. For a long time, they believed they were standing on solid ground. They thought they understood you completely, your limits, your emotions, your breaking points. They assumed your love, your loyalty, or even your pain would keep you emotionally anchored to them. The Tower shows that this belief was built on shaky foundations, and now that structure is collapsing in a way they did not expect. This card reveals a sudden moment of realization, not a gentle awareness, not a slow understanding, but a sharp, undeniable truth that hits them all at once. Something triggers it. Maybe they see you doing well, hear about your growth, or simply feel your absence more deeply than before. The Tower doesn't give warnings. It strikes when the universe decides it's time, and in their case, it strips away the comfort of thinking they still mattered in the same way. They are forced to confront the truth that you moved on without needing closure from them. The Tower also shows regret that comes from shock rather than reflection. They didn't spend years thinking about their mistakes. They dismissed them. They minimized your value because it was easier than facing the responsibility of how they treated you. Now, as the walls fall, every memory they avoided comes rushing back. Conversations they ignored, moments they took for granted, opportunities they assumed would always be there. The regret here is raw because it arrives all at once, without preparation. What's powerful about the Tower in this reading is that it's not destroying your world, it's destroying theirs. You already went through your collapse earlier. You already cried, questioned yourself, and rebuilt quietly. The Tower confirms that your breakdown became your breakthrough. While they stayed comfortable in assumptions, you transformed. And now, the universe flips the script. They're standing in the rubble of what they thought was control, while you're standing in clarity. This card also reveals why they didn't expect your strength. They underestimated your ability to detach emotionally. They thought your kindness meant weakness, that your patience meant tolerance forever. The Tower exposes how wrong they were. Your silence, your distance, your peace. These became the lightning bolt. It shakes their ego because it proves you were never dependent on them. You were choosing them, and once you stopped choosing them, their sense of power collapsed. The Tower doesn't suggest reconciliation or repair. It speaks of irreversible awareness. Once the truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. They now understand that the version of you who would wait, explain, or fight for the connection no longer exists. That realization is devastating because it comes with responsibility. They can no longer blame timing, circumstances, or misunderstandings. They must face themselves. This card also shows that their regret isn't just about missing you. It's about losing the identity they had when you were present. You reflected parts of them they now struggle to find elsewhere. The Tower removes distractions and leaves them alone with their thoughts. And in that stillness, they feel the weight of what they lost, not because you're gone, but because you grew beyond what they could offer. In this topic, the Tower is a symbol of karmic balance. It shows that life corrects what was dismissed, not through punishment, but through truth. You didn't need to prove anything. Your evolution spoke for you. And now, they are standing in the aftermath, finally seeing clearly. while you've already walked forward, lighter, stronger, and no longer defined by the past. The Five of Cups speaks from a place of emotional loss that arrives too late to be undone. In this reading, it reveals the moment when they stop distracting themselves and finally sit with what they've lost. This isn't surface-level sadness or temporary guilt. This is the heavy realization that something meaningful slipped through their hands because they assumed it would always be there. They are no longer focused on what went wrong between you. They're focused on the emptiness left behind now that you're gone. This card shows deep regret rooted in comparison. They look at their present and silently measure it against what they once had with you. The Five of Cups brings attention to emotional contrast, the warmth, understanding, and safety you offered versus what they experience now. At the time, they didn't recognize your value because familiarity dulled their appreciation. Now, absence sharpens it. Every missed call, every ignored message, every moment they chose ego over effort replays in their mind. The Five of Cups also reveals emotional paralysis. They are stuck between grief and shame, unable to move forward yet unable to go back. They know they hurt you. They know they failed to show up when it mattered. And instead of empowering them, this awareness weighs heavily on them. They stand emotionally frozen, replaying the past, wishing they had chosen differently. This is not the energy of someone planning bold action. It's the energy of someone overwhelmed by remorse. What makes this card especially powerful in this topic is that their regret grows as they see you thriving without them. The Five of Cups shows them watching from a distance, noticing how your energy is changed. You no longer look for validation. You no longer seek explanations. That quiet confidence becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their emotional shortcomings. They realize you didn't lose anything by walking away. They did. This card also highlights emotional isolation. They may be surrounded by people, but they feel deeply alone. Connections feel shallow now because they compare every bond to the depth you once offered. The Five of Cups reveals that they now understand something they couldn't before. Emotional safety is rare, and losing someone who provided it creates a void that can't be easily filled. There is also an element of self-blame here. Unlike earlier stages where they justified their behavior, the Five of Cups shows them owning their mistakes internally. They admit, at least to themselves, that they misjudged you. They thought you would wait, forgive endlessly, or return when they were ready. Now they understand that you chose self-respect over familiarity. That realization hurts more than rejection ever could. The Five of Cups doesn't speak of closure conversations or apologies easily spoken. It shows feelings held inward, regret carried silently. They may want to reach out, but shame stops them. They fear hearing confirmation of what they already know, that you've moved on emotionally, even if part of them still holds onto hope. Most importantly, this card confirms that your healing triggered their awakening. You didn't cause their pain. Their choices did. The Five of Cups reminds us that regret is the teacher that arrives when growth is ignored. And in this situation, while they grieve what's lost, you've already crossed the emotional bridge they now wish they had taken when they had the chance. This card closes the chapter with emotional truth. They see clearly now, but clarity without timing brings sorrow. And while they mourn what could have been, you continue forward, no longer carrying the weight of their unspoken regrets. The Six of Wands arrives in this reading as a powerful confirmation of your rise. Not imagined, not exaggerated, but clearly seen and felt by those who once doubted you. In the context of this topic, this card reveals the moment they realize you didn't just move on. You won, not in a competitive or ego-driven way, but in the deepest sense of self-worth, healing, and personal victory. The Six of Wands shows you standing tall after a long inner battle, finally acknowledged for your strength, even by the person who never thought you would get here. This card speaks of recognition that comes from a distance. They are watching you now. They see your confidence, your glow, your emotional stability, and it shakes them. What hurts them most isn't that you're visible. It's that you're thriving without needing their validation. The Six of Wands confirms that your growth became public in some way, whether through success, peace, or the way you carry yourself now. Your energy announces that you survived what once tried to break you. In this topic, the Six of Wands also reveals wounded pride on their end. They expected to be the one who moved on first, the one who looked unaffected. Instead, roles have reversed. You became the example of resilience, while they're left with quiet regret. This card shows their ego struggling to accept that you no longer see them as the prize. You chose yourself, and that choice elevated you. There's also a sense of admiration mixed with longing here. The Six of Wands shows that despite their regret, they respect you now in a way they never did before. They finally see your worth, not as someone who was always available, but as someone who knows when to walk away. That realization creates an inner conflict. They're proud of you, yet painfully aware that your success highlights their loss. This card also confirms that your victory was earned, not given. You went through doubt, emotional exhaustion, and moments of loneliness. The Six of Wands acknowledges the journey. You didn't rise because circumstances changed. You rose because you changed. And now, your presence alone reminds them of the effort they failed to put in. The Six of Wands shows that others see it too. You're supported, admired, and emotionally aligned with people who recognize your value. This amplifies their regret because they understand that you're no longer isolated. You're no longer waiting. You are surrounded by energy that matches your growth. And that makes their return less likely, not because you're closed off, but because you've outgrown what once felt familiar. In this topic, the Six of Wands also serves as closure without words. You don't need to explain your healing. You don't need to confront the past. Your life speaks for you. This card reveals that your success answered every question they never asked when it mattered, and that truth settles deeply within them. Ultimately, the Six of Wands confirms that moving on didn't just free you, it elevated you. While they remain stuck in reflection and regret, you are stepping into a chapter defined by confidence, recognition, and inner peace. This card marks the end of emotional struggle and the beginning of self-honored victory. You didn't just survive what they put you through, you became stronger because of it. And now, that strength is impossible for them to ignore.